Okay, for the fourth video, we are going to talk about zero power. And zero power means what happens when you take something to the zero power. So for example, if I took the number 10 to the zero power, what would end up happening? So in order to look at this, I want to show you two different ways of thinking about it. The first way of thinking about it is using the division rule, which you just learned about in your last video. Let's say that I have 10 to the fourth power divided by 10 to the fourth power. Well, these have the same base, and so the division rule would tell me that I can just subtract the powers, which means this would be equivalent to 10 to the 4 minus 4 power, because if you're dividing two exponents, you can just subtract the powers. Well, 4 minus 4 is 0, which means I've got 10 to the 0 power. If I look at this as a number, though, really what this means is I am taking a number and I'm dividing it by itself. And like we talked about in the last video, anything divided by itself is equal to 1. Doesn't matter what it is. So what this proves is that 10 to the 0 power is equal to the number 1. What I want to make sure that you notice, though, it's not that 10 to the 0 power equals 10 to the first power. It's that 10 to the 0 power actually equals just the number 1. And this is the thing with 0 power is that you will find is any number taken to a 0 power is going to equal 1, because any number divided by itself is what would get you that 0 power, and that means that any number to the 0 power is equal to the number 1. So this is one way you can look at it. Another way you can look at it actually is you can make a table and observe a pattern. And so I want you to think about, let's say, a pattern where we're taking the number 3 to different powers. So let's say I've got 3 to the third power, which is equal to 3 times 3 times 3, which is 27. And I've got 3 to the second power, which is 3 times 3, which is just 9. And then I've got 3 to the first power, which is just a single 3. And then I want to talk about 3 to the 0 power. So that's just going down the table. Well, if you look at the pattern of what happens in this table, as I move down in powers, I'm really just dividing by 3. So 3 to the third power divided by 3 is equal to 3 to the second power. 3 to the second power divided by 3 is equal to 3 to the first power, which means if I want to go from 3 to the first power down to 3 to the 0 power, I have to divide by 3 again. Well, 3 divided by 3 is equal to 1, which is just another way of showing that any number to the 0 power is equal to 1. So the generalization for this one is any number taken to the 0 power is equal to 1. And the way you can show this in symbols, x to the 0 power equals 1. It doesn't equal x to the first power, it just equals 1.